Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome our guests. And I know Nina and I have been trying to put this together, and I have someone very special for you guys. And I want to take the time right here to thank her for coming and sharing those expensive commodities that I keep telling people that we have, and that is time. Time is a precious, precious commodity. How we respect it and treat it will tell us a lot about our lifestyle and our belief system. The other is the journey housed who we were, and it created us. So it was a powerful tool that gave birth to this beautiful woman that is before us. And we want to thank you so much, Nina, for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
Well, thank you. What a beautiful presentation. Thank you so much, Ken. And I'm honored to be here.
You are welcome. Tell the folks the things that you have has been pushed out of you, given birth, if you will, as a result of your journey. How do you serve others today?
Oh my God, that's a major question. That's a huge question. So do you want me to start from the beginning or from the end?
Start from the end. We'll get into the beginning. Tell them what do you
Yeah.
do today as to offering your service to mankind, because I tell people that is the ultimate prize by which we get a chance to live from and through once we
Yeah.
go through our journey. So let them know, what do you do today so you serve mankind and be a part of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
servanthood.
Okay. Yeah. So I run my own coaching business as a sole purpose and success coach. I'm a certified elite performance master coach, but I don't really love that title actually, because it's so much leaning into performance and it's so intellectual to me.
Yeah.
And the work I'm doing is more on a soul level. So I help people to really tap into their truest self. And by that, I mean everything that is you underneath all of that programming. Because all of us have this picture of ourselves. We have this identity coming from the paradigm that sits in the subconscious mind that is created from all of your past experiences. So the work that I do is that I provide and help people to get really, really crystal clear on who they are or who they believe that they are really, because the identity that we hold about ourselves, it's beliefs that we
Yeah.
have taken on as truth from somewhere growing up. But a lot of those truths, that's not really, really true.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we believe things that dominate our lives and have us act and behave in a certain way that is negative. So a lot of people I work with feel stuck. They have come to a
Yeah.
place in their career, perhaps they have achieved great career success. They should feel fulfilled based upon what they have been taught from growing up. You should have a good job, you should have a
Yeah.
nice car, you should have the family, you should have a nice little side hobby, and then you should just be happy and fulfilled. But that's not the case. And the case is that all of those beliefs that we are being taught from the school system, from our parents, from the norms of society, that's been put upon us in a way that detaches us from our soul, because
Yeah.
the society as it is, it's intellectual, it's focused so that we only perceive our reality from our five senses, really. But we
Yeah.
have higher faculties like memory, like free will, fantasy. We can visualize, we can do a lot, so much more. We are so much more. So the essence of us behind that intellectual mind and the physical body is spiritual.
Yeah.
It's an idea. That's also we can put a lot of different words on that. For some people, it's God. For some, it's universe, source, spirit. I like to say spirit or universe, but also leaning a bit into God, because I've been doing a lot of research, going deeper into like quantum physics and
Hmm.
all of that beautiful woo woo. But yeah, the essence of what I do is really helping people to get clear on how our senses work. What's the paradigm? What's your identity? What is true about yourself and what's not true?
Yeah.
So it's all about reprogramming the mind, essentially, and I have my own method for that. But really helping ambitious people, I would say, because you really need to be in a point in life where you are sick of it. You need
Yeah.
to be in a state of longing, a deeper sense of longing, and, you know, feeling that lack of essence of you, because
Yeah.
that's really what most people really are experiencing, but very few people are aware of that missing puzzle piece. So
Yeah.
I help people find that missing puzzle piece, which essentially is their true essence, their soul, their spirit, that connection to God,
Yeah.
that which fills our cup. And I do believe that in some way that means being of service
Yes.
from that. Yes.
I
So
tell people,
whatever.
Nina, that there are two journeys that we go on: the
Yeah.
individual journey to get to know who we are. And that is the precursor to the servant or the interdependent journey, where we become a, um, a servant in the fact that we were broken and we were able to bring tools into our life to assist us to begin to reprogram our old belief systems, if you will, to create
Yes.
something new of a different desired outcome. And so we go through, one must precede the other, but the ultimate prize by which we get a chance to live and enjoy and partake of the interdependent journey is as we have been graduated, if you will. And when we reach there, we're usually in a state of humbleness. We are empathetic. We are more kind. We are more loving. We are more of what we were when we started that journey. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a matter of reprogramming. And when you get to the level of quantum physics and stuff like that, you will see clearly at that level, I believe there's a designer. And because quantum physics will show you that they have to be some intellectual designer behind it, because it's such preciseness when you get to that level. One of the things that
Yes.
we do here, Nina, is, as you know, is to go back to the beginnings of the beginnings, if you will. And I usually start there because it's one of the first places we visit as humans while we are here on this earth. And that place is called the family. And we stay there
Yeah.
for a few years, and then we begin to embark on our own lives, getting into college and all of those different things. Introduce us to your first space. What was your family unit like? What was the interaction amongst your mom and dad, you, and how did it give birth to you as an individual within that stage, if you will?
Yeah. Yeah. So growing up, every time I go back to my upbringing and family, I tell it a bit different every time, because I'm starting to realize that every time I tell that story or reflect upon my childhood, I come up with new things every time. So I
Yeah.
come from this from a mother. She was a first generation immigrant in Sweden. She met my father back in Thailand, where she's from. And also my father, being an alcoholic, he had all kinds of personal issues. And I know today that they both have suffered greatly from both mental and physical violence, which also today allows me to understand my upbringing better and why
Yes.
they were acting and behaving the way that they were. So their relationship was broken, and me and my older sister, I have a sister, she's 3 years older than me. My mom and dad was kind of on and off. My dad was moving out, and all of a sudden he was back. My mother was really hardworking. She didn't know the language. She moved here to Sweden, tried to raise us, me and my sister. She had a lot of help from my grandmother. And I know she's very grateful for that, because it was really tough for her. She was studying Swedish and working part-time, and put up with a lot of things from my father as well, as you and your listeners might imagine. So I saw a few less pleasant actions when I was very young. And I don't know really if, because I'm a highly sensitive person, I'm an empath, so I feel a lot. And actually, most of what I can remember and recall from my earliest memories are very sad. They are very horrible memories for me. And I know today that all of that trauma, emotional trauma that was put upon me, innocently put upon me, because both my parents loved me. I know that. But it can't take away the harm still. Right? So I grew up with a lot of emotional trauma. And also, it caused me to seek a lot of validation, because I didn't get that safety. I didn't get that security and love that I needed to grow up to be a safe and secure and loving individual within myself. So I was desperately seeking for that, because I didn't get that. So from the start, it was really, really tough for me to find my way and to find out who I was. So in my early teenage years, I was really depressed, to the point where I didn't even want to live. I really considered to end my life twice before I turned 15.
Wow.
But I did have, and this is the beauty of connecting with people. I had one teacher when I was about 11, and she had this major impact on me, because she showed me that she saw me. No one before had ever really truly cared for me. And when I'm telling you this, I'm not saying that because I told you before that my parents did love me. I know my parents loved me. But they were so broken. They had so much conditioning themselves, and they were carrying so much trauma themselves as individuals. So they could not cope with anything else besides their own trauma. And this is what people does. They are still not aware of this till this day. And most people are stuck there. We are stuck in the conditioning of our past experiences that creates this pattern, because the nervous system is directly connected to your subconscious mind, where all that programming sits,
Yeah.
right? So that
Mm-hmm.
paradigm, that's all of your belief system. That's what's creating this loop of behaviors, and
Yes.
it's on a subconscious level. So most
Yeah.
people are not even aware
Aware of it.
that
Yeah.
that is what's causing the loop. And I know that today, and that's really helped me today to be able to look back at my past, to look at my childhood and be loving towards it. That might sound very strange to a lot of people, um, but I feel love when I think about the child in me, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel love when I think about my mom, and I feel love when I think about my dad, despite all of my suffering.
Yeah.
And that's because I have come home to understanding what I am and also what they are, because they are
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
Fundamentally,
I,
we are all the same. So,
yeah.
and this understanding actually came to me on this depth uh, during this past year, but I had a massive shift in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I got to that point where I attracted this guy into my life. He gave me two books by Eckhart Tolle, and that really Eckhart Tolle could actually put into words all of that little thing that I
Yeah.
had recognized in people, which is the ego,
Yeah.
uh, and that actually had me shift into a different kind of consciousness. I became
Yeah.
aware and could put into words what I had been like asking myself, what's wrong with people? Why are people so freaking detached?
Yeah.
What's the cause to
Yeah.
people behaving like they are behaving? So that in my 20s, I had my first inner shift,
Mm-hmm.
which actually cured me from my childhood depression and my recurring panic attacks, really. So by reading those books, A New Earth,
Yeah.
and A Power of Now, so I would really recommend those books alongside
Yeah.
a whole lot of other books, but the list is
uh,
long.
yeah.
Yeah, so my upbringing was really broken. A lot of
Yeah.
people would describe my childhood as broken. I really struggled through school, but yet I have always been this natural high achiever. Things come very natural to me, so I passed the grades nevertheless.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had my first massive inner shift in my 20s there,
Yeah.
which led me into working with people. I've always known that I want to work with people, and it's always come so natural to me.
Yeah.
I've always been that person that my friends and family and everyone, even strangers, like if I
Yeah.
talk to people, people just open up.
Yeah.
Uh, so I've always known that I want to help other people. Um,
And how did
in
you move to that, Nina? Because one of the reasons why I ask these questions from people, and when you first come, I have the individual tell what they are doing right now to be a servant, and that picture um, came at a price. And so that is why I go back and investigate and bring the listeners to your life as a young individual. The pain, the suffering, and all those things that we go through are what is called the price, because no one gets there. You have to um, as you have the pain in your life, there's series of awakening. And Nina mentioned one when she was in her 20s and she recognized a few things and it began to shift her perspective of how she saw herself. And now she had a perspective towards people. What format did you started to work with people? What was that, and how did you get there? when you said that you recognized you wanted to be with people? What was the format that caused you to become uh, working with people, if you will, a teacher? What was it that you did?
I actually started out as a nurse assistant, so I went through that education and started
Hmm.
working with people in the private sector of the healthcare industry, really.
Yeah,
For 9 years, I worked with all kinds of different people with different mental and physical dysfunctions, helping them to create the best possible lives on their own terms. So that's what I was doing for 9 years before I transitioned into health and fitness coaching.
yeah,
Before I realized that I want to do, or that not my mission, but my calling was to serve so much deeper.
yeah,
I really felt called to go deeper, not just coach people in
yeah.
nutrition and working out and that physical bit. So that's when I certified myself as a elite performance coach.
Yeah.
But now, as I said before, I don't really like that title, even though that certification has served me well.
Yeah,
But I'm leaning deeper into spirituality and what makes us as humans, how our senses works, and all of that beautiful, deep stuff.
when you were there with those folks, Nina, for that 20 years, and being around all of those different belief system, all of the different pains, all of the different stories and so forth, what did you begin to see in those being exposed to all of those people as to the human condition? What were those things that you began to notice as an individual being around that for such a long time?
Can you reframe the question?
Yeah, when you were working there and you're with all of these people all the time, what did you learn? What did you pick up out of that concerning people as far as their belief? What did you notice? Any common thread did you notice amongst all of those people? What was it that you saw there that escorted you more
Yeah.
to the wellness aspect of
Yeah.
human development?
Yeah. So working with those people, having, like I said, all kinds of different dysfunctions, both like mentally and
Yeah,
spiritually and physically. Uh, what really started to come to my awareness back then was labeling. Like, humans are so good at labeling things. Like, we
hmm,
need to diagnose people. We need to say, well, this is this, and this is the behavior coming from that. And this, we need to really know. We have this um, wanting of putting everything into boxes,
yeah,
because that creates safety. And that was really something that I was so annoyed with a lot of times, because working with people like that also kind of depend on you to be of guidance and
yeah,
assistance to really help them to really create a life the on their best like ability. But people were so small minded and like, no, he should do this, he can't do that. And I was like, well, he can do that if we do it this way.
yeah.
And if you allow him to be in a safe place, he can actually do it. But so that really started to come to my mind, that we, from society side, I believe in like all all areas of whatever you're working with. If it's like people in the healthcare industry, or if you're working in the grocery store, we need to label things. And
Yeah,
when
yeah,
we label things, we limit things. So that's that's when I started to notice that I'm not a very good employee. I should
Yeah.
really lead, because that I started to take on that kind of role within the group that I was working with
Yeah.
during those 9 years. Um, Really, essentially, I didn't want to be a leader because I had never viewed myself as a leader before, coming
Yeah.
from that background where I didn't know my worth. I was seeking validation constantly, but still within me, having that like pull, um,
Hmm.
really tuned into my intuition, really, and seeing people behind the veil
Yeah.
of labels. I've always had that kind of natural way of just detecting and seeing people. And I do believe that if you can resonate with that, that's why people feel so comfortable talking to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I always seek to understand. And that's one of my biggest strengths, I would say, or I believe
Yeah.
that when we label things, like I said, we limit things. And
Well,
that's a major issue for
yeah.
most people. Because when you believe something, when you take on something as truth, and you have this little box and instructions and a description, and then you go like, okay, that's that.
Yeah. I think they create
So
the labels, Nina, because they figure that's how we'll be able to manage it,
yeah,
manage what's going on. Because
yeah,
being
and people,
in the healthcare, I think that's what it is, that they do, if you will.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And so that was something that just built on the proof. I was not consciously gathering proof
Yeah.
of people not being genuine and like really true, but subconsciously, I think that's what I've been doing my whole life,
Yeah.
um, and really understanding the senses and how we work and act
Yeah.
on autopilot. Most of our times based on the paradigm and belief systems that stems from past experiences, and um, that really set me free completely. So
Mm.
I'm really passionate today about teaching about the mind,
Hmm.
about the holistic side of being, um, because I know how that set me free. But I'm not finished. I would say that that's also
Yeah.
the thing. It's beautiful when you can come to a place within yourself where you're
Hmm.
okay with not knowing,
Yeah.
where you
That's
can
so
be in
well
a
put.
state of growth. Because
Yeah.
if you're not in that state, then some way you're still in a fixed mindset. Because if you believe that you know all of these things, because let's face it, most things that we believe are relative truths.
Yeah.
Very few things are ultimate truths, right? Like
Hmm.
gravity, we all
Yeah.
um, we stand on the ground because of gravity. It's not
Yeah.
something that all of a sudden or some days you
Hmm.
float off.
Yeah.
So like our minds, we can be like floating in our minds, and one day you might feel confident and the other day you are like smacked down because you didn't succeed in whatever you tried to do. But based on like upbringing and that early programming,
Yeah.
uh, that's what's lays the foundation of your self-worth and
I
how you
agree.
view other people and what you believe is possible for you, because
Yeah.
we have limitless, endless possibilities.
I
And
believe we
that's so
do.
beautiful when you, yeah,
Yeah. So here you are, Nina. You saw that, and you describe it beautifully as to what you saw and what you observed while you were there for that period of time, and you began to move in more of the holistic side of the individual. So now you're here in a different format, if you will. Being in that
Yeah.
space, and you said that you began to set you free. When you got there in that space, what was it that you began to notice in you that began to cause the change in use and setting you free? And what tools did you bring into your life to help you to be set free?
Yeah. Yeah, I love the question. Actually, I went on my first maternity leave. So what really helped me, I believe, to make the decision or that leap into a completely different kind of workspace, a
Hmm.
like starting my own business, becoming an entrepreneur, that I really needed that time off to get perspective.
Yeah,
Because I'm not sure if I didn't have that space, if I didn't have that time off when I became a mother. Um, that's also so amazing, becoming a mother.
yeah,
That also made me so much more loving. I mean, I've
yeah,
always been a loving human. I've always cared very deeply about um, everyone around me, really. And even when I met new people that I don't know, I still care
yeah,
about people. I feel this, like, I want to connect with people.
yeah,
But having my first child was just pure love. And I
yeah,
believe that that's actually the first time that I felt like unconditional love on that deep, like pure level,
yeah,
because we're born in that state, right? So
hmm,
babies are pure love. That's
yeah,
all that they are. Um, and that connected me even more to that calling within me, that little voice inside me, or not voice, but that intuition, that pull
yeah,
towards doing something more, being of greater service, doing something. I really realized that I wanted to make a greater impact
yeah.
on the world and in people's lives. Um, and then I went back to work actually for a couple of months. Then I got pregnant again, and I had my second baby. And
Yeah.
then after my second baby, I was like, no way, I'm not going back. I'm not going back.
Uh, after you got that, and when we pull away from anything, and you had mentioned it a little before we started, where people are beginning to become awakened to the fact that there is more than just the natural. There's this thing called, and for lack of a better word, we call it the supernatural.
Mm.
And I actually think that, quote unquote, the supernatural is really the natural way that we're supposed to be. But I think we
Yeah,
have it backwards. And usually when we disconnect for a period of time, then we began to get some insight. COVID came. The thing about what COVID did, it brought death, but it brought life. Many people died. Many people became awakened to the fact that they are more precious than what the job and the company was telling them. They saw more worth within themselves and began to demand more. It changed the paradigm, and people began to question the program. The program being you work until you die, basically, and you get
yeah,
the wife, the husband, the white picket fence, the house. You make a lot of money and you acquire these things, but the spiritual being is not interested in any of those things. And so
yeah,
it is not, it doesn't feed it. And we talk about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. That stuff only feeds the conscious mind. The subconscious
yeah,
mind has no interest in material things, because material things is not what it feeds off of and what makes it grow.
Yeah.
So here you are, you had this the second child, and you began to look back into your employer and employment, and you looked at it and go, that's not me. So here you are,
Yeah.
Nina, you said, that's not me. My question is, what became of that woman when you said that? Where did she go, if you will, after she made that statement?
Wow. Actually, when you make a decision like that, when you really feel that calling, when you feel like no, because that was so clear to me when I made that decision. Synchronicities started to happen.
It
I
always
stumbled
does,
across.
Nina.
Yes, it
I'll
does.
tell you what I've come to believe, Nina. I've come to believe that when our subconscious mind makes that decision, everything comes into play. Our
Yes,
our conscious mind did not make that decision. Your conscious mind was, I need to go back to work. Your
yes,
subconscious mind said no. And I believe that when that part of us makes the decision, Nina, I absolutely believe that's when we step out from things being circular in our life,
yeah,
because the answer and the provision is the next step from that. That's not what I want to do. That from the conscious mind making the decision, I believe that that's the one that we have to engage
yeah,
in making the
yeah.
decision. And when we do that, everything works. Everything.
Yes, yes. And it's so, and I believe that's kind of the sweet spot, I would say,
Yes.
where you
Yeah.
are fully in tune with your spirit or with
Yeah.
the universe, with God, or with
Yes.
source, or whatever word we like to use. But when you also take action when you're in that sweet spot, because you need to take action.
Oh,
And I
yes.
believe, yes, and a lot of people, I've actually had a few very profound discovery calls with people who are ready, who are like, I want to do this.
Hmm.
They have become like super, super clear. But
Yeah.
then programming kicks in,
Yeah.
because when you're about to take a leap of faith, when
Yeah.
you are about to take a major decision that will have a major impact on your life, because when I chose to quit, I was like, okay, this is my savings, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go all in. I found that first coach, but that's a risk.
Yeah.
And the programming, our subconscious, or the program that sits in the subconscious mind that
Yep.
has you going on autopilot based on all of that programming, uh, that will try to hold you back. So
Carefulness. Yep.
something, yeah, something that's so important to realize is that if you want to have change, if you want to make a change, and it doesn't really have to be a massive, big change, it could be something small. If you want to start working out, you have to like, yeah, take on your workout clothes and do
Yeah.
that for a week. But you have to just make the decision, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable because everything that's outside of your programming feels uncomfortable at
Yeah.
the beginning. That's the
It's the
power of
unknown.
habits, right? Because we're
It's the
habitual
yeah, it's the
individuals.
unknown. Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't know what's there, and because we don't know what's there, as you stated earlier, there is no label to put it on to put it in the box so that
exactly.
we could manage it. And so we become fearful of that because the programming tells us that you cannot leave the job, because if you leave the job, your ability to survive, you need me. And
Yeah.
when we make that decision, it says, no, I believe, and this is what I've been telling people from the onset of before Threads of Enlightenment, is that the gift is designed to sustain you. It is designed
Yes.
that way. It's just a
Yes.
matter of you stepping out and making the switch from this new place that you are going to get information to reprogram um, all of that virus that you have within you. You need a virus
Mm.
cleaner, if you will, to come in.
Yeah.
And that is time. If you take a natural computer, Nina, and you put a virus cleaner into a virus, it takes
Yeah.
time for that virus to take it out. And so
Yes.
that's what it is in our life. It takes time for the renewing of our mind to take place, to begin to
Yes.
move aside the old programming and create the new one. As you said, the old
Yes.
one kept us on that default thinking, and now um, we have to awake ourselves that, hey, it's going to it, it's going to cost me something. I have to be consistent,
Yes.
as you said, one step at a time. Incremental changes are the most powerful things that you will have in your life, because it activates a law, and the law is the law of momentum. As you
Yes.
begin to
Exactly.
move forward, and then that
Yes.
law will pull everything that is around it as it's moving with the force to bring it to your space to get you your
Yes.
desired outcome. It is a law, guys. So
Yes, it
it,
is.
it is an absolute
It's
law. It'll
universal
work.
laws. Yes,
Yeah,
that's how it works. And also, that's a beautiful journey. That's such a
yeah,
beautiful journey. But it also requires that we have faith.
yes,
We have to have faith. And that also requires that we believe in things that
yep.
you cannot
You
perceive
can't
or
see,
like with your
touch.
five senses. You have to
Yep,
allow things to unfold and to trust that it will, um, and to trust in that gut feeling, to trust your intuition.
yeah,
And that's really hard for a lot of people. That's really, really hard. And people step
yeah,
in and out
yeah.
of that belief and having that faith. But I would say that faith might be the most important part in this process.
It is. It is the glue to the unknown. You don't have to know everything. You just have to believe.
Yes.
That's it. And um, there's a scripture that I was just talking to someone about it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not onto your own understanding. That's it. That's it right there. You
Yeah.
have to trust that you are going to be taken care of. And I'm telling you guys, you will. And leaning not onto your own understanding, meaning that you have to surrender what you think is right and your ability to a higher ability, as you said, and I believe that there is a designer, that there is a God, and that God wants you to have your desired outcome. He put all of these principles and laws into place so that you can utilize it. He doesn't need it, He's up there. But you can utilize all of those laws. And
Yes.
even as you stated earlier, it's down to a quantum level. You will see it perfectly and clearly when you get to that level. And then you will come out with a different understanding of stuff
Yes.
around you. And that's what you're doing, but no one is telling you that you're doing it. And the glue that holds the whole world together as you're stepping out is
Yeah.
your faith. Nothing else
Yes. Yes, definitely. And like
is
you
your faith.
said, everything works and operates based on universal laws. There's order in the universe.
Yes. Yeah.
But we are not being taught this in school. We are not being
Yeah.
taught this from our parents. And for whatever reason, we are not being taught this. But it doesn't take away the fact that true happiness, success, whatever that means to you that is listening, And that's more of a recipe. That's more of a consciousness than it is luck or
Yeah.
coincidence or hustle and grind or anything like that. That's something else. So in order to achieve success and happiness and experience love and all of that good stuff that everyone desires, who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
That's a knowing. That's a knowing, and that's a level of consciousness. And it's available for everyone
Yeah.
when we realize it. That's really all it is. That
Yeah.
you need to realize that you have endless potential within you,
Yeah.
and everything that keeps you from being successful or having your true love or having whatever it is you want in life is your blocks and limitations that sits in your mind.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's belief systems. You run on a set of beliefs in your paradigm. That's your paradigm. You're living from your paradigm. That's all of your beliefs. So, and that's a process. We said it before. It's a process to like rewire that. And for some, it's harder than for someone else. But it comes down to shifting beliefs. I would say that what's it called? Uh, you can affirm things. You can
Yeah.
repeat things to your mind. What's it called? Auto suggestion. Yeah, auto
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's the very like intellectual masculine way of reprogramming the mind. So we know that that's a technique that works because what we tell our mind over and over and over and over again, eventually your subconscious mind will take it on as truth. Um,
Yeah.
but I like another concept and that I operate from and use, and that's shifting your beliefs. Because how quickly you can be able to shift your outer reality
Mm-hmm.
if you want more success, whatever that means, or more money or another job or whatever it is that you want. If you can shift your beliefs, say that you are self-conscious. So why are you self-conscious? What, where did you take on that belief? Because it stems from somewhere.
Yeah.
So we really need to go to the cause. It's always a cause. That's a law in itself, the law of cause
Yeah.
and effect.
Yeah.
Because there will never be, nothing will ever happen without a cause. So you being self-conscious has a cause. So if we can go to the root of that belief, we can shift it.
Yeah.
So a
I
very effective way of
believe it.
doing that is really looking for something that tells you the opposite, why it's not true. And in 100% of the case, you will be able to do that in a very
Yeah.
short span of time with the right questions. It's just an awareness.
Yeah. So I tell people that folks like you, Nina, are guides. And I know people use the terminology coach, but I love guides so much better because it's actually what the person does. And how do they do that? They do that by the questions they ask. And I'll tell you why, because they have gone through what we call the journey. And while they're going through the journey or their journey, they have visited certain places and they are familiar with the terrain, if you will, and they know the questions to ask to get the desired outcome. Why? Because while they were there, they were searching for those questions, and when they found the right question, it propelled them out of the situation. So they know what to ask you before you know what to ask yourself because they've
Yes,
been there. And they can
yes,
recognize where you are or locate you by the most powerful tool that they have available to them is their questioning of you. And
Yes.
as they begin to locate you within that paradigm of your journey or where you are, they then can ask you one question and you will have a response like this: I never thought of that. Or you'll say, I never knew that I could think that. And you begin to have that light come in. And when that light comes in, you have uncovered that root cause. And once you have recovered that root cause, you are free. That's
Yes.
how it works, guys. And so
Yes. That's
you have
exactly how it
to
is.
understand, and I always tell them, Nina, make sure your guide has gone through some stuff. Because if you
Yes.
have one of them that took a master class for 2 hours on a Saturday, that's not the one. They
No,
don't have a clue where
definitely
you're
not.
at. You know, you have to, and that is one of the reasons why, Nina, I have these conversations and ask these questions so people can see that this guide that we have here has been through some stuff, and she knows how to excavate you by the questions she will ask you guys. And I this we're going to provide everything for you guys to get access to her so that you can learn, because when you get into her space, you've heard her story, she will be able to guide you through so that you can move through your life at a faster rate than she did. It may have took her
Yes.
10 years, 15 years, but from a couple of sessions with her, she can locate you and get you out of there much faster. So we're going to provide you everything for you guys to get to her, because this woman I know is the real stuff. So Nina, here you are. You went through and you started learning so much. You're applying all these tools to begin to excavate your life and locating those root causes, if you will, and you're progressing in your life. What were some of those things as you were progressing and that you noticed that was there deposited in you as a young girl, being in such a volatile, emotional mix with mom and dad and your sisters? What did you begin to see that was there within this young girl? And what tools did you bring to assist this girl, this young woman, to become free, if you will?
I'm gonna have to ask you to reframe that question again.
Yeah, when you were going through your journey and your healing process, and as you were studying all of these different tools
Mm.
and excavating yourself as you're growing through with your guides and so forth, what did you uncover about you? Some of those unknowns, if you will, that you had hidden in you, emotional traumas and all these different things. And what tools did you bring in to help you to heal, if you will, to move through?
Yeah, well, something that I came to recognize that I had within me all along, and that I know that everyone has within them from the beginning. It never really leaves. It doesn't matter how broken you feel. It doesn't matter what kind of trauma is put upon you or the suffering that you are going through. You are always, and you always will be, whole.
Yeah,
That's a major insight. And when I realized that, I actually can't remember exact at what time in life I realized that, but I've always had that feeling or sense of being connected somehow. But it
yeah,
wasn't up until recently I know for, like, I can explain it, I can know it, um, and speak about it, because I think that we are all we're all interconnected, and we all deep down know it, because we never stop being connected, really. But it's our intellectual
Yeah.
mind, it's all of that thinking, all of that programming, all of that bullshit that you identify yourself with all of the
Yeah.
time, that's in your way, that's what's holding you stuck. um, so somehow I've always felt like I've had a sense of knowing about that connection.
Yeah.
But the tools that really helped me to heal was going inwards and working on my self-image and my self-love and trusting in myself, and practicing being vulnerable, because from the past and my upbringing, I was building up this massive wall, and that was rock hard. I was the strong
Yeah.
one. I was um, never showing vulnerability. Um, Very few people have seen me cry. Well, nowadays I cry a lot. I believe that
Yeah.
vulnerability is one of my greatest strengths today, but
Yeah.
for a very long time, that was really holding me back, and that was really holding my voice back. That's also something that's so beautiful, because when you come from a place of a lot of emotional trauma or whatever trauma, we start to suppress, because we
Yeah.
don't feel validated, we don't feel that we're worthy, and that's really also the cause. When we suppress, we cause disease within us.
Yeah.
That's a very unnatural state of being. So people ask themselves, why is like stress and anxiety, and why is cancer so like spreading across the globe? And this is a major cause, because we are suppressing our true nature. We are
Hmm.
going against ourselves and what your gut feeling is telling you, because your gut feeling is always there. You're always connected. We just need to learn to listen. So yeah, you asked what tools that kind of helped me to heal, and that's really being honest,
Yeah.
practicing being vulnerable and expressing who you truly are in
And
love. You
is
need to go back to love. And
yeah.
yeah, that book, whoever wrote it, Returning to Love,
Yeah, that is
it's all
for
about that.
men. It's for the men to we are programmed not to be vulnerable, but
Mm.
to be vulnerable is strength. It is one of the most
Yes.
powerful place to be, is to be
Yes.
vulnerable, because when you are in tune with you, and the whole
Yes.
process of the journey is to become in tune with you, discover, some people call it the authentic self, um,
Yeah.
the soul, the spirit of the man, the
Yes.
who you came. The body is the house that holds you and makes you legal here on this earth. There's a scripture that says, "I created you," in Proverbs, I think it's, or Psalms. It says, "You were created as gods, and you will die like mere men." Why? Because of your belief. You believe you are a man, and you'll die as a mere man. You just believe all of the different things and suffering. But when you tap into that God quality of who you are, in the sense, because I grew up in the church and it says we were created in his image and likeness. That means that I can create just as he did, because if I create him in
Yeah.
his image and likeness, I can create. The ability to create, calling things that are not as though they were. That is what faith is. I am. And so your world is not put together yet, but you make a decision and you recognize what you need. And then he said he needed light. He said, let there be light. So you and I have to do the same thing. And that's when the walk of faith becomes clearer, as we begin to release our words, because it is our words that have the power to create and it has to be one with our belief system. And when we
Yes.
are one with our words, they produce life. And you can only get there by finding out who you are. As Nina says, you have to get in touch with the authentic you, or as some of them said, as I said before, but it's you. It's actually you. Your house and your conscious mind. That's not you.
No.
That's just information that they deposit in your inside of you, and you're just spewing it out.
Yes,
And
that's the
so,
tools. Yeah,
yeah,
the mind, the intellectual mind and the body. I
yeah,
like to view it as tools in
yeah,
this physical world
yeah,
because you're the consciousness.
yes,
You're the higher power. You're the creator, right?
yeah.
You can create whatever reality you
We
want.
want. That's it.
Yes.
But
So
most of
everything
us,
we see in our reality, that is a reflection of our beliefs.
yeah. That's why you hear me
Yes.
always say to people,
Yes.
when you recognize the value of time, I always say it in the onset, and how you relate your life with time, you create your world. I
Yeah.
don't care where you are today, because you are in His image and likeness. You're a creator, and so you
Yes.
create your state, good, dark, or bad. But you don't have to stay in that world that is dark. You can create a new one because you are a
Yes.
creator. And so
Yes.
it is still your choice, but that decision, as I said earlier, is has to come from you, your soul, your spirit, the deep part of you that says, "No, I I don't want this." And
Yes.
when you say that, you are tapping into your creator. Everything opens up after you say that. Everything
Absolutely.
always opens up,
Yes.
always. And so,
Yes.
guys, Nina's here, and as I said, I can vouch for this one.
Thank you.
I can vouch that she was not in a master class, and that
No.
she earned her stripes. And I am so honored that she's here for you guys to tap into her and excavate her love, excavate her wisdom, her insights, all that she is, her desire to serve another makes her very, very special. And Nina, I want to thank you so much for coming here at Threads of Enlightenment. I know
Thank
we
you.
haven't even touched the surface of you, but I wanted the audience to get a glimpse of who she is so that you can come, and I know she will respect and honor you and create that space, a safe space for you to
Absolutely.
be and for you to experience the greatness that resides in you. Again, Nina, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
It was an honor. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
I am so honored to have you in my space and in my world. I thank you so much.
Thank you.